Welcome to the InStory show. I'm Devorah Spilman, your host, and we are launching into the spring edition of the InStory show, and our focus is how to lead with your light and tell your story to create health, wealth, joy, and abundance. And I'm a storyteller, a soul story coach, and I am passionate about helping people to find and lead and tell their soul story and to find out how other people do that. So today I am thrilled to welcome Reverend Dr. Louise Diana. And before we dive in, I'm just going to read you a little bit about her and then we'll hear your story. So, as the creator of the personal growth concept Inner Fitness, Reverend Dr. Louise Diana is a yoga therapist, a certified clinical hypnotherapist, and ordained science and mind minister, wellness consultant, and life coach. Her private practice is based in Los Angeles, but she travels extensively as a speaker, corporate trainer, and teacher, and leads life-affirming healing retreats. She has over 30 years of experience in helping people transform their lives, control stress, and achieve balance, harmony, and peace of mind. And oh, are those worthy goals, especially in our times and truthfully in all times. So I love to ask everybody to start with a little bit of your story of kind of how you got from there to here, because most of us didn't start in this transformational work. So tell us a little bit about how you came to be doing this work that you've named Inner Fitness, which I love.
Well, thank you. Surprisingly enough, I did not come out of the womb Reverend Doctor. I know a lot of people don't even think I have a name, and I just came out with those credentials, but that's not the way it unfolded. Um, like a lot of young people, I was in search of something outside of myself. I've always been a seeker. My mom always used to say that I was the kid that never stopped asking why. And that's been my theme over my life. Why? Why am I here? Why am I supposed to serve in some way? And I was lucky. I was able at a young age to start living what we have come to realize is your bliss. I started out as a performer. I was an actress in New York and came to Los Angeles and was going back and forth from New York to LA and doing that dance. And it was a January in a very cold New York winter, and I was fully immersed with earmuffs and an overcoat and gloves and a scarf. And I was coming into town to do a part in a television show. And it dawned on me that I was going to live in Los Angeles. And I'm happy to say it was a wonderful decision in my life. Being an actor is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful experience. And little did I know at the time that it was creating me as who I was. I was just doing it through other characters and finding who I was. And I literally woke up one day and said, I'm complete. I'm done with this.
Wow.
Now what's next? Now I have a whole life ahead of me. Now what do I do? And I sat down and meditated like every person who is asking an inquiry should do. And I decided to take something that I was doing on the side at that time, which was being a student of yoga. This is a long time ago, Devorah. And I decided that this is what I was going to do. I was going to study. I was going to master it. And then I was going to teach it. And I designed my first yoga class. I reached out for those people who were creatives and seekers like I was, and slowly began to fill my classes. And before you knew it, I was creating a business around it, something that I loved. And I'm very passionate about that because I think you'd agree a lot of people struggle in life to find something that they really are passionate about and love and want to do every day. And the fact that I was able to monetize it is kind of fabulous. and along the way became entrepreneurial in the discovery of this lifelong passion that I have discovered. So that was the very, very, very beginning of it. Please understand that was 4 decades ago. People around me would stare at me. They would look at me like, okay, you're leaving show business for what? And my parents were very concerned. And proof be it that when you align and connect with something, and in this case it was yoga, but it could be anything. When you align with something, it's it's what you want to get up for every morning and do. And then, of course, share it with other people. Because when you discover something, you want to share it with people and you want to do it with people, right? So that was my entry into, the beginning of my heroine's journey, as I like to call it.
So what do you think allowed you to progress into this bigger concept of inner fitness? Because now you're not just in yoga. Like, is there like a next level turning point? Because there's the turning point when you just start a thing. But I think
Yes,
then there's like this next visionary level, I think that
yes.
happens. And I'm curious if you have that.
Yeah, that's a really good point too, because what I did, the footsteps that I was taking were, now that I have this practice that I've started developing it, and now that I'm sharing it with other people, I decided to go to the source and move to India,
Oh, wow.
and kind of went to the mothership. And India is a very complex a complex nation, and it hadn't been developed yet by the time I got there. Now it's a little bit different over the last few decades, but it was pretty much an assault on my senses, and anybody who spent any time over there would know that. But I've been very blessed, and while I was there, I got to study with some extraordinary teachers, which is the key to everything that we do, or finding those teachers
Mhm.
who touch you, who inspire you, and make you want to do better at whatever it is you do, no matter what you're studying. In
Yeah.
my case, it was yoga, but that was a pivotal point in my life, making that choice. And then another pivotal point was coming back,
How
and
long were you there? How long were you in
I
India?
was there for almost a year,
Wow.
and just an extraordinary experience for me, mentally and emotionally and physically. You need to be strong physically to be able to tolerate this assault on your senses if you're really going into the bowels of the country. It's quite extraordinary. And then when I came back, uh, I think if you're a lifelong learner, you always want to build to the next step.
Mhm.
And I went back to school and got my master's,
In what?
and I got my master's in theology.
Interesting. Okay.
And then I went on and I got my PhD because I was already invested in developing the habits of what it's like to be working and running a practice and being a student at the same time. And each step has been a progression. You keep moving along. And of course, life happens all in between those steps, as we know, right? Life happens. I want to read you something that you're a reader, aren't you? Of course. If you're a storyteller, that means you're a reader.
Oh, yes.
Um, but you're asking me questions about my story, and this is what you focus on. I'm a big reader, and I've discovered this wonderful author. I'd love to share her
Please,
with
please
your
do.
viewers. Her name is Terry Tempest Williams. She's just an extraordinary writer. And she wrote something. I think this is valuable to our conversation. So is it okay if I read
Sure,
this?
sure.
She wrote, For me, the answer has always been through story. Story bypasses rhetoric and pierces the heart. Story offers a wash of images and emotion that returns us to our highest and deepest selves, where we remember what it means to be human, living in place with our neighbors.
You have to send me. I love that so much. What's the title of the book that's
Name of
from?
the book, the title is called Red, Passion and Patience in the Desert. I
Oh,
just started this book, but I thought it was appropriate. And
I love that.
that's kind of part and parcel of my story, is that it's, you go into the wilderness of life and you never know where you're going to end up. You just don't. I've always kind of lived a little bit out of the box, never doing kind of traditional things. And while it may sound like it was all organized and planned out, I want everybody to know that it wasn't, that there was some free falling in between. And by the way, those free falling moments are some of the greatest lessons I've learned,
Mhm.
because those are the moments where you really expand and then you apply what you're learning.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
without application, none of it means anything.
Right. I agree. I call it fall down, get up. There is only fall down, get up.
Yes.
And, we might get better at falling down and fall down less hard for a shorter time, get up with more grace and ease. But that free fall, that falling, if we don't have that, it means we're not growing.
Yes. And how do you get up?
Right. How do you
How
get
do you
back up?
get up? How do you get up and how do you survive? I
Yeah.
hear all the time, it's usually one of four areas in people's lives where they go up and down. It's either going to be health, it's going to be relationships, it's going to be money, or even perhaps, beauty, image. That could be a big issue for people. And it's going to be one of those areas that people have to focus on to learn some really big lessons.
Mhm.
And what I suppose you're doing with people and your students and clients is helping them get to the core of what that is and what that story is that propelled them so much. True?
Yeah. And sometimes it's getting to that story that lit them up as kids that they had to shut down. And then we get
Yes.
to have it back. And so, it's like clearing away the old stories so you can get to that essential soul story that's filled with light, which, is probably why I called this particular series, the theme is how do you lead with your light? Because if you can't connect to it, you can't lead with it. Like you've got to figure out what that is. And it's held inside our stories. Like that quote you gave was so beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
so how
And,
do
and
you lead,
And it's interesting, although, because one of the things that I'm currently doing, this pandemic has kind of led me to this moment, is while you get a chance to review and redo how you're putting out your message in the world, I'm kind of rediscovering and going back and looking at my family trees. I've never really done it with as much scrutiny as I am doing now, because I think each generation carries something from the past. And
Mhm.
I'm not that knowledgeable in my great grandparents, and I'm attempting to get to the elders in my family before it's too late, and trying to hear the stories that I may have missed growing up to better understand who I am and what I am and why I make some of the decisions that I make in life. There are some things that I'm rediscovering that I really like, and some things, I'm still working on that. Now I know where it came from.
So that's so true because we have our own story, which is inside of all of these other stories, and so that's beautiful. I love that because that hidden wisdom, like I often say, your story reveals your purpose. So there is all this insight and wisdom hidden in those stories. So I love that. So
Yes.
I like to ask everyone for this series what it means to you to lead with your light.
Well, considering what we have been through this past winter and the last fall and the summer and just last year, and then everything arriving to this moment, these have been probably the most dark times in history that I've ever lived to experience. And I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. And somehow in all of this, sounds a little Pollyanna-ish, so indulge me, but I've always known and continue to know that we're gonna come out to the other side.
Mhm,
I
mhm,
just see the world through that lens. And I
mhm.
don't think it's foolish to assume that it can.
Right.
You know,
I agree.
when we don't have hope in the world, when we don't have hope, oh dear, excuse me. I apologize. When we don't have hope in the world, we really don't have anything. So I didn't even think it was an option for me. I, I'm I'm as startled and as thunderstruck with some of the conversations that are going on in the world. I can't help but be. I'm a human being, but my connection to something outside of myself, and you can call it God, you could call it spirit, you can call it divine intelligence, the light itself. I operate from that place the
Right.
majority of the time. And when I slip into my kind of human sense, try to avoid all that negativity and chatter
Mhm,
that doesn't seem to make any progression forward. And so I don't even think I have a choice.
mhm.
I just know that there's so much good going on in the world. I
Right.
like you, I'm very connected to my surroundings and very connected to nature. I spend time in it every day. So I know that it's operating all the time.
Right.
Now, whether or not I plug into it is something else, right?
Yeah.
Right? But it's always available to plug into it. All you got to do is just stop. And in when you're not in that light, when you're not in that consciousness, what do you think is the obvious thing that most people will experience? And that's fear.
Mhm.
So it's either you're in fear or you're in the light, in love. And I'm in the love zone. I'm in that category. Just love everything around you. And if it doesn't look like love, then just sprinkle it and move on because life is way too short. And or lead that person to that place if they're willing to go there. And I believe that people have a deep yearning for personal peace in their life
Right.
and are just playing out all their own frustrations otherwise.
Right. When I think so many of us are feeling called to lead with our light, to tap
Yes.
into that hope, that higher consciousness, that inspirational realm, and then to share it. And that's why
Yes.
I'm always so inspired when I host these interview series because I feel like we encourage each other. Like our commitment to staying in that light, to leading from that place, no matter what, because it's who we are. Like I feel that it's so important for us to all hear each other and to feel connected.
Yes.
Um, it
Yes.
it matters. So I love that it's like I have to do it that way, and I'm like exactly. But then that gives the strength maybe to someone else who that's what you have inside you, but you're not sharing it out yet. And
Yes.
so,
Yes. Well, here's just a quick thing for people to think about. We've got so much media that pulls us in every day, and it's unavoidable. You pick up your phone or your tablet or your computer or turn on your TV, and there's so much media, and the media is a machine, and it's got to pay its bills, and it got to do what it's got to do, so it keeps you fully engaged. And so, what I always have been saying for the last X amount of years is Be an informed person in life. You want to know what's going on in the world. Know your sources, be mindful about who's writing it, be mindful about who's espousing anything. Use your own innate intelligence inside of you, whether this is truth or not truth, and recognize and know if there's not a healing component to it of some sort, in whatever way it speaks to you. And we're all kind of wired differently. But if there's not a healing component to it, you may want to reconsider it. So, first of all, don't saturate in any of it. Just don't saturate. Be informed, but don't saturate. And if it doesn't feel, it's not, the word is not even positive. It's the tone is not about a soulful healing, which is where we've all arrived now. That's why we all want to find each other to propel it forward. Then just move on. Just move on.
Yeah.
You don't even have to. You don't even have to stay in that consciousness. Just be aware that this is what's going on, and then move gracefully on. And of course, if you've been meditating for a long time, everything starts here.
Right, right. So speaking of meditating, want to lead? You said you would be up for leading a little experiential meditation.
Of course, I've never passed up an opportunity to meditate. It's my favorite thing to do with people is to stop. So you can close your eyes if you'd like, Devorah. I'll just keep my eyes.
I'll be the representative of the whole audience.
Please, please. I'll just check in and just to make sure that the flow is going on. But everybody hears this all the time. So I'm just going to say it again, and that is breathe. Just breathe. And for those of you who are non-breathers, when I refer to breath, I mean conscious, aware, long, deep breaths. So let's take a breath together. Inhale. And let it go. Again, inhale. And just let it go. So as we just stop in this moment right now, right where you are, everything is perfect. Everything is in flow. Everything is happening in its own divine order. So if you're in the way of that momentum, just step out of the way and allow it to happen. Imagine a big ball of white light all over your body. So if it's manifesting as any fear, worry, doubt, lack, or limitation, or even pain, just take this moment and let it go. Let it go. And whether you're seeing this in the morning, the afternoon, or the evening, this is your moment right now to just stop. Pause. Be in that flow. Be in that acceptance of all the light around you and the love around you. Whether you can see it or not, it's there. And the more we come in consciousness together to not only heal our own individual wounds or pain, we move into the collective healing. And from the inner, we connect to the outer. So that inner fitness that I speak of is manifesting on the outside. We know that this meditation is about the laws of attraction that draw to us all the experiences we need to expand and to grow. We remain open to that without any self-critical language. and just move into this place of perfect peace. So whether it's your morning, your afternoon, or your evening, go into the next few hours, take this meditation, put it into everything you do, every person you see. Be the light. Be the light. And the more you be the light, the more it comes in. And always, always, I am grateful for the moment just to stop. I consider it a privilege to do it. There are so many people in so many parts of the world who will never have this opportunity to pause. We send out healing light to them and invite them into them in consciousness, into, into this moment. And I always release my meditation or my prayers out into the universe because I know every prayer is heard. So we are not attached to when the manifestation of it shows up. We just know it's done. And for that pause that we're taking and so much more, Devorah, I ask you to join me by saying, and so it is.
And so it is.
And so we are.
And so we are.
And so I am.
So I am.
Amen, amen, amen.
Amen. Mm. Beautiful.
We can just come back into this moment now. All this wonderful work that you're doing for women. Do you have any men in your classes? I'm curious.
Occasionally I have my group program is for all women. It just, I started out working one-on-one with men and women. I still work one-on-one with men, but my group program is all women. It's just because we have a different rhythm.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. This is not to bash any of you men who may be listening in the
I
background.
know, love you so much.
We love you.
But my husband rolls his eyes if I talk too much, and like it's not the style. So, you know, I have private clients who are in business and are working on their story who are very powerful, who are men who want to bring a soul calling into their business. But it's just a more laser focused, different style of work.
Yes.
For women, that way we speak with each other and support each other and reflect our experience back. It's just a different rhythm of transformation.
Yes, I have found that too over the years. I've had a lot of men in my classes, but the deeper work seems to be more of a female way of working. You know, we women have a tendency, you know, you put two women on a park bench and within, 15 minutes, both of them know their life stories. and we get very direct with one another very quickly, which is, the nature of, I think, the divine feminine, for lack of it, putting it in any other way. And the men are slowly coming along because there are a lot of men who are curious about their own spiritual path and their own journey, and they're part of the light working community too. So bravo for those men who step up to the plate.
Oh yeah, I mean, my husband is an extraordinary spiritual teacher and person. He's unbelievable, but it just doesn't mean you have to do it the same. I'm not into being the same. I like being different. I think that's a glorious thing.
I agree.
Right, as we're coming near the end, tell us a little bit about your free gift.
Yes, well, as I've been talking about yoga, it's the basis for all my coaching and everything I do. My coaching practice is really about getting people to live life fully, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, psychically, just to tune in. I've got a really mixed bag of clients that I've cultivated over the years. I have, gals in their 20s and 30s I've worked with. I've got older folks that I've worked with, of which I'm part of that community, I suppose, the older 50 crowd. And it's been a very, very mixed bag. But my message and my gift are going to be just a nice introduction for 3 days I call it my 3-day inner fitness challenge, where you get to do a little bit of yoga with me every day. And I'll make sure that you have all the appropriate links for people to do, because it's the basis of everything. My goal for people is to be as vitally healthy as they can. Just do all the eat well and get enough rest and move your body every day. My path is yoga, but do anything and make sure that you're speaking your truth every day. You're the Native American Indians used to call it, walking your talk, and there you go. So I'm going to give a little 3-day challenge for people to have an experience, to move their body a little bit. And it's not going to be overexerting, just enough to give you a little bit of a taste, to be more curious, so that when the world opens up again, or find a teacher like myself online, you can do a practice every day where you sit and you're with yourself and you're listening and you're tuning into what your body is telling you.
Yeah. Well, and this 3-day challenge, that is really going to give people that sense of how do you tune into your body? How do you,
Yes.
that inner fitness comes, I love that you do it. It's like you're going to give them a physical practice, but you're giving them the inner fitness aspect of it all the time. And I think that's such a powerful way of moving forward, is to integrate the inner and the outer together. And yoga is amazing for that. And you've brought it into such a powerful place with all of the dimensions of your work, which I just think are so
Well,
inspiring.
thank you. Thank you. It's like building blocks. You keep layering yourself, the good layering, by the way. I'm not talking about the physical laying. I'm talking about the spiritual laying. You keep growing and you keep absorbing and you keep learning and you keep applying. But the basis, I say this, I've been saying it for 4 decades. If you don't take care of your body, where is your soul going to live?
I love that.
Right? And it's there's no excuses. There's no excuse for not enough time, or I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I'm too this. No, you just do it. You do it every day. And it's the gift that keeps on giving. It just makes you feel good every day.
I'm signing up. I'm gonna go see your thing. You're very inspiring, and I love that. Take care of your body. Where's your soul gonna live?
Right, exactly.
I always ask people for some last words, but that was a pretty good, darn good
I
one.
think I think we can go out on that note.
I agree. So, Reverend Dr. Louise Diana, thank you so much for bringing just your joy, your wisdom, your inspiration, your experience to everyone. Go click the link, get this, and then you can go to her website and see even more, and let her inspire you to launch into this inner fitness. And we're going to have a Facebook group with the show. So chime in there to
Oh,
share your
great.
experiences and connect with Reverend Dr. Louise Diana, and let us know how it goes, like what you're up to, what your insights are, your experience. So, Reverend Doctor, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So namaste from my home to yours. And I wish you well on this beautiful, beautiful day.
Thank you so much. And as I always say to everybody in farewell, remember to go out in the world, share your story, live your purpose, and be a blessing.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.